as we go, and we will work through them. So I'm going to share my screen, give a little bit of information, and then we're going to get started in doing things. So let's just get going with this. I'm going to backtrack a bit here. Okay, today we are talking about Matific and Mathology. Over the last little while, you have had Mathology, which is a digital product by Pearson that you can use with your students for lessons. It is 100% curriculum coverage for all your lessons in your grade. And hopefully you've been in and used some of the things there. So we'll be re-showing some of those things if you haven't investigated that. And over the last year, we've partnered with the company Matific, and we've embedded student practice, digital student practice, that some of them actually have worksheets that you can print out. I'll show you that, to match with the Mathology. So in Mathology, obviously, we have print resources that you can print out and have print worksheets, but Matific gives us that opportunity for not only fun and engaging digital learning and activities for our students, but also that information is compiled on dashboards for you as a teacher. So today is really going to be about what the activities are, how the platform works for the students. And then if you're really interested and you go in and you do a lot of the stuff over the next month, we can have another one of these webinars to take a better look at the dashboard when your students have actually populated stuff and it will make sense for you. So today we are going to do a bit of playing. We're going to see how the Mathology and Matific fit together. And then I will go into more of the Matific platform functions. So in essence, the students have a screen that looks like this, and there's a variety of ways that students can look at and use the material assigned by you as the teacher. We are going to look at first the assigned work section down there on the bottom left. And after we've done some playing and looking, I'm going to show you how the Matific activities are reorganized in various ways to better suit pedagogy and learning for students. So we are going to start with an example from grade 4. And this is from the unit in Mathology about fluency with addition and subtraction. And I'm just curious about this lesson. This is just the PowerPoint piece, and it's one part of the PowerPoint piece, not all of it. It's not the whole lesson you see there. But I'm curious, when you see something like this, or students see something like this, how might students work through to find the answers for this problem? They see this projected, or you print this as a worksheet. They're sitting there with whiteboard markers, or they're sitting with pen and paper or chart paper. If you can just imagine what grade 4 students would look like, and how would they go through something like this? And maybe you can pop some of those strategies into the chat.
Yeah, so Caroline, using a whiteboard or a turn and talk, I love that, getting them talking about it, sharing what they're thinking. Ooh, add these slides to Book Creator. Kim, we have a digital resource too called Book. I don't know if you're familiar with Book Creator, but everyone in our district K-12 has access to that. So yeah, you could make a book creator either for the teacher or for the kids. That would be really cool. Math visual journal.
And so if they don't use a standard algorithm to add these numbers, how might they add these numbers?
Adding by place value, Chrissy says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They might do
Adding left to
that.
right. Yeah.
And so this assumes students may have had some practice in this area, or as the students are working through it, you may see, oh, I think they need more practice, whether that is thinking about the standard algorithm and using it that way, Or if all your students are using the standard algorithm and none of them are even able to use that place value, then maybe they need a little bit more practice there.
I'm listening
Maybe
to
some,
a workshop, but I don't think I'm going to stay because
oh,
is he okay?
okay. And maybe they're getting the standard algorithm wrong, and so you want them to be able to check or to think about this in terms of place value or the way it's presented here in partial sums. So when we think about this lesson, what are some of the things we might be looking for? We're thinking, well, can they record their solutions? Are they able to use various strategies? Do they understand the actual algorithm, or are they just going through the motion? How are they checking their answer and things like that? And so the next lesson in Mathology may go on to a more complex concept. Within Mathology, we do have the sheet that you can print out. We'll show you that in a minute. But within Mathology, there's also now links right to the Matific practice. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this for you. I'm going to hopefully make sure um, our audio is working here. And I'm just going to ask the question, as you watch this, what might be engaging for students? Or how might this activity help students in developing that sense of place value when they're adding relatively large numbers for someone in grade 4? So today I'm just going to go right directly there. Oops, I'm going to go directly there. And in a minute, I'm going to backtrack and we're going to go through the whole pathway. But for now, we're just going to take a look at a little bit of this activity. So this is an activity you would assign to a student or to students or to the class, and they would go to their computer. We'll talk about logins in a minute, and they would just complete the activity. So your job now is to just watch the activity and think about how this might be engaging for students, or how might this be good practice for the activity that they just did. I'm going to see if the sound comes through and then I'll stop it. So Jesse, you can let me know if the sound is coming through.
Separate and combined bubbles to solve the equation.
Is the sound coming through?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, so it gives an idea of what the students are to do here. And things like this pop up often in different ways. And so they're asking to separate and combine. So if I combine these, it gives me this. So the student would be simply typing these in. Maybe I want to, well, maybe I want to combine those because I know how to do that. And so now I'm combining these. It's easy to do in my head when I've got easy numbers to work with. And now I got 4,813. And so by doing that, I've made it easy to think about this. So it will give me a few of these. It's got my bubbles up here. It's got my 2 bubbles. I'm going to, when we're working in the actual platform, the stars disappear quickly. I'm just going to divide them up. It just automatically does that. So I might add my 1s. I might add my 10s. And what happens if I get it wrong? Oh, nope. I'll try it again. No, let's see if I try it again. And so usually what will happen after 3 attempts, it will give the right answer for it. In this case, it's making me work until I actually get it. and it will do it. So basically this one, I have to keep adding them, putting them in here. And so it will give me multiple times. This is the second time. Usually there's 5 questions and then it will finish for me. So I'm not going to do the whole thing here, but I'm curious to know if students were actually doing this activity, what might be engaging for them, or what might be helpful for them in terms of their math thinking. How might this be good practice? What do you think of this kind of an activity as a practice for adding and subtracting? This one was just simply an adding one, but it also goes into subtracting larger numbers. And let's just pop those into the chat.
So we have a visual example of the method happening and seeing the numbers combined. Thanks, Bryn. Yeah, very visual, watching them combine and like breaking them apart into place value and combining them, for sure.
So what I'd like to do is think about now, I'm going to show you a little bit about how it works, and then I'm going to invite you to go into your account and kind of look through that piece. So I'm going to show you a little bit and then ask you to do a little bit. So in this case, this activity was from grade 4. It was from the unit Fluency with Addition and Subtraction, and it was the lesson Adding and Subtracting Larger Numbers. So we looked at the actual PowerPoint. I downloaded it and we looked at one piece of it, but there's lots of other support here for you as an educator. And then the practice that I clicked through to get the Matific is the very last tag at the top. So we've tried our best to link the best possible activities in Matific to the lessons in Mathology for each province. So what will happen is not every single activity will have this practice button that is sitting here, because we felt in Matific, as of yet, there wasn't a really good link between that and some of their activities. They are continuing to build more activities. And so a few times a year, go back to a lesson maybe you have done, because it may actually appear. But even if it doesn't have that practice button there, we know that there are practice worksheets that you can print out and have students use. Some teachers say, oh, when I print it out, it's 4 pages. Well, if they're not actually writing on the actual page, you can easily just condense some of the space, print it out, put it in a duotang, and now you got your workbook for a few years and you only have to print it once. So when I click the practice page, it will click to a button that says Launch Matific. And so that is associated to all those lessons in Mathology. And I would say about 80% of the lessons have this practice page that are here. It goes right into Matific, and it will give you a variety of activities to choose from. So just a couple of information before you go to a lesson. When you go through, so now I'm going to go through in the actual lesson. I'm going to start right from the home page and go from there. I'm going to start right from a sample grade 4. I'm going to go to my unit, which is like a table of contents on the left-hand side in Mathology. It opens up my unit. This is my full unit, and we'll come back to talk a little bit more about this. I'm going to go to my lesson that I just saw about adding and subtracting larger numbers. And this is like a digital version of Pages. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, all like a file folder system. Tells me about the lesson. I can find all my lesson goodies in one place. And then when I want to go to the practice, I click over there and I launch Matific. When I'm there, I see that, oh, I'm in the Mathology unit, Fluency with Addition and Subtraction. That's the unit I was in. I have 3 lessons here that are directly related to Matific activities. Here are 6 If I want to, maybe I just want to assign 3 of those activities to my class. Now I know that when my class goes to their computer and opens up to Matific, they will see these sitting in their assigned work. So a little bit of information. If you are brand new coming through, when you click a link, it might ask you to do a few things. So it might ask you for your email or for your school. It might ask you, do you want to add a class? If it does, you might want to add a couple of students and then backtrack again and try that cycle again. The good thing about Matific is it does leave those breadcrumbs for you as you first come in. And then there's always this little help button up here that gives you anything you want to do, like how do I add students? Add students. So it will tell me here step by step by step how I'm actually going to do that. But when you first log in, I'm going to go back again one more time to kind of show you that. Right from the home page, I'm in a grade 4. I'm clicking Fluency with Addition and Subtraction. I'm going to the larger numbers and then to the practice. When I launch Matific, because I've been in it more than once now, it goes directly to my Mathology unit. I see that that's the lesson I was working in and I can assign them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop for a few minutes, about 4, 5 minutes, and I'm going to ask you to go to a grade, go to a lesson that you may have maybe taught in the past or going to teach, and see what happens when you go through that flow through and you go into Matific. And as you're doing that, if there's any questions, put them into the chat. So right now, you're going to go to a lesson in Mathology, click the tab that says Practice, click Matific, oops, and follow any instructions, and then just take a look at the lesson titles and drop down. Click on one of those activities, play it, see what it does. And we're going to take a good 5 minutes so that you can do that and pop any questions you have into the chat.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. So
Mhm.
if you are into your Mathology.ca account and you know your username and password, jump into that now. If you, there's a couple things. So every grade 4 to 6 teacher was automatically given a Mathology.ca license in September. So it might just be a matter of going to Mathology and trying to log in using your @CSSD account, not your Learn account, your @CSSD. And you might even want to try the forgot password button just to try and get yourself in. If that doesn't work, then, and I think I sent it in the email to you, we just need you to fill out this form, and I'll put it in the chat here. And there's a form on our NCIS site that you fill out. It's the Digital License Coordinator registration form on that page, and someone from our team will be rostering people. So if you don't have your account right now, that's okay, but I think most of us should have it at this point.
Okay, and then if someone doesn't have an account, if you're an administrator and you're just here looking at things, what I'm trying to do is to pop something into the chat, but I really, for some reason, I can't put something into your chat because I'm outside of your
Oh,
organization.
really? That's funny. Let me see if I can fix
Yeah,
that.
I don't
I'll
know.
look at the
Can you
settings.
fix that on your side, Jesse, or?
I don't know. I don't know that I've encountered that before, but let's try.
Okay. If not, Jesse, I'll tell you where to go for the link. So if you are in a French immersion school, you should have access to the Mathology in French. And so when you click through, those activities are in French. So Annette, if you can just make sure that when you are in your Mathology, you see student facing French materials, and that when you click through, you're clicking through and you see it en français.
And that's a great question. And one of the things that we were really excited about with the Matific was how many languages it comes in. Like it's like a crazy number. Hey, Kim, like 60 languages or something.
Yes. So the benefit of this is in the background as a teacher, if you get someone that is new to the class and needs math in another instruction for a few months, you can just change that student's language. I think
Mhm.
in the French accounts, it should be automatic that you just click through to French.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
great.
Jesse, what I'm going to ask you to do is if you, oh, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to email you the link.
I was gonna say
So,
that might be the easiest. I don't see any.
yes. So, Jesse's going to put up there is a link to our Pearson Matific page. And so if you don't have an account, you might want to click on that link. Just scroll down because we've got some examples of some activities that are actually in Matific. So if you're an administrator, it might be a good link to click so that when your grade 4, 5, 6 get together, it's like, hey, these great activities are available. So it's just a nice link to have.
Okay, I just got that email, Kim. So I dropped that link in the chat
Or if you're
there.
having trouble with your account and we can't get to fix it till tomorrow morning, please just go into one of those links and have a go. Just scroll down and find one of the activities.
Your current subscription has expired. I don't know why this message comes up.
Okay, so it comes up because when teachers first register, often they're given two options. One is if you have had an account, click here. If you have never had a Pearson account, click here. Sometimes it's the wrong click. They get put into a trial account as opposed to a thing, and we just have to change it quickly on our side. And I might be able to go through a couple of these at the end and see if I
Okay.
can move them into the right account.
Now, typically, would that be an email to help at
Yes,
Pearson.com? Okay.
help
Or
at
Mathology.com.
mathology.com. Yeah.
Okay.
Any trouble you have with your account, you can CC Jesse if you want, but you're going to get much faster service if it's directly to help
Oops,
at mathology.ca.
I did it wrong. Mathology.com.
No, let me just mathology.ca.
Oh, .ca.
Yeah,
Can I delete that?
yeah.
There we go.
Help
.ca.
help at mathology.ca. Usually within the hour, they will get back. We have a team that watches it, so I see them come through and who some are more pedagogical, so I will answer them. Some are more technical, so someone on the tech side would answer it. But there's about 6 or 7 people that all see the same emails come through. So
So the question about Mathy Adventure, yes. So we have for grade 4 to 6 teachers, we have enabled Matific into the Mathology platform as that student-facing, game-based platform. We've heard the feedback about Mathia for Division 2, and this some of our community practice teachers have been piloting Matific as well as Spanish bilingual teachers. Um, and they love it. The feedback has been really, really good. So we decided that to pivot from Mathy Adventure to the Matific for our grade 4 to 6 teachers. So Division 1, grade 1, 2, 3 still has that Mathia license, but for Division 2s, especially because it aligns so well with the Mathology, as you saw, it just directly aligns with the lessons that you're already doing. This Matific is really great and overwhelmingly positive feedback from our very critical community practice teachers. They really looked at it through a fine-tooth comb and had great things to say. So we're really excited to launch this officially with everybody now.
So I know we've been talking, but hopefully in the background, you've been
Yeah.
quietly clicking away and trying a few things. So what I would like to do is show you around a little bit and then give you a little bit more playtime. So I know you probably just want to play a game, but I think if you kind of see from a bird's eye view what is available to you, you're going to make some really good decisions of where you want to investigate and where you want to give it a go and try with some of your students. So when we look at this, what we are talking about is a variety of islands. And so the first island that like we are linked directly to is that assigned work. And so because it is assigned directly, it matches the curriculum. There are ways in behind to assign different activities to different students or not assign the on grade thing to certain students, but we call that the assigned work island. And so a lot of teachers will go in basically on a weekly basis, assign them, have them do during the week. Again, because it's technology enabled, if you want to assign them so they only a month at a time and they only show up every week, there's lots of opportunities to do that. Students also have the opportunity to go to what's called Adventure Island. That's that big island on the top, very on the top. And when students first go into there is a placement test to determine their current level. So when you actually make a list of students for your class, it will ask you, and we'll go there in a minute, what grade level you want to start them. So if you're a grade 4, you might start them all grade 4. But when they go to Adventure Island and do the little task of about 10 questions, it will determine whether, if they answer them all correct, Adventure Island might assign them the next grade up. If they're not getting some of them right, the test changes as they go, and it might assign them a grade or two below. Basically, they can work at their own pace. So students, they might say, oh, I've got an assigned task here, but I'm going to go to Adventure Island for 10 minutes first, and it will bring me through a variety of activities based on the skill level I'm working at. And if for some reason that skill level still is too hard, it will automatically adjust to what the student is doing. So the student may be really good in geometry, and so it'll adjust up, but then maybe when they get to some number sense stuff, they haven't had as much experience and it will adjust back down for them. So it really is a personalized learning journey that is adaptive. So two things teachers have said they love about it is one, yes, they in their grade placement, they put grade 4, but as a teacher, they don't have to give the kid a test. They don't have to decide what grade level. They don't have to decide what activity comes next. It is just there for them, and the computer program does it for them. The other area students can go to is called a training zone. So these are the same activities that you see in assigned tasks. They're in a different order or a different grade. And so students can practice these training zone skills again at their own level. They decide now if I want something harder or if I want something easier. So there's a little button at the very top that says at level, so students can toggle back and forth. So maybe they started, at level in geometry and they realized, oh, this is just too hard. I'm going to go down to the simplest one and I want a lot of stars. So I'm going to do the simple ones fast. And that's okay because it's a lot of great practice. And so they are practicing their skills at their assigned level. They're also practicing the type of skills they want. They are choosing whether it's multiplication. They are choosing whether it's measurement. They're choosing whether it's those other things. And they get a variety of activities to choose from.
Pam, I have to say that the feedback that we got from the community of practice teachers and the Spanish teachers, overwhelmingly, they love the training zone the most. The kids love it, the teachers love it, because it gives kids that choice in choosing tasks for themselves that are just right, and the teacher gets to work a lot on that sort of like self-initiated, find something at that level that is right for you and adjust it on your own. And especially for our Division 2 kids, I've gotten such good feedback about this training zone specifically. And this is a place where a lot of teachers start with the training zone and get into the curriculum stuff later. But yeah, I just
Yep.
wanted to mention that this has gotten really rave reviews, this part.
Yeah, because in a minute I'll show you how easy it is for students to log in, and you can just tell students, go to the training zone. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to sign anything. It all gets done. I was working with one group of teachers that were grade 6. And one of the teachers had a student in grade 6 that was working at a K1 level for sure. And she's been working at a K1 level for all these years. She hates math, never likes to do it, always avoids it at all purposes. When she got here and got to do the training zone and start from the beginning and just work on her own without somebody knowing what she's working on, within 6 weeks, she was already into mid grade 2, and she was saying she loves mathematics. So this is the
Wow.
thing that actually helped her move along, because she was able, first of all, to practice things that she knew, but never had opportunity to really consolidate it. And because now she was successful, she always wanted to do this every day. So it has lots of great functions, and it's wonderful to hear those stories and why they like to use it.
Yeah, that's a great story.
And the last area is called the arena. And this is actually a game competition area where students can compete one with the other, and students can actually compete with students that are not in their classroom. Teachers can turn this off if they want, so students don't even see it. Teachers can have it just the students in the class if they just want to do it. So this is something you might want to investigate a little bit down the road. So what I'm going to do is, the great thing about Matific is that it's got that question, that help button, um, everywhere you go. But here it's got, like, on the very left, it's got like a map. It's a folded out map with a location with a pin in it. That's actually student view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop for, again, about 5 minutes, and I'm going to ask you to go into any lesson, click through to Matific, and see if you can click that top button that is the fold out map with a thing, and that will give you a sample of a student view that you can go in and try a few things. You can see the 4 islands. You can try the training zone and see what that's like, and just get a feel for what the student looks like when they're actually in there. And so we'll stop again for about 5 minutes, and then I'll ask you some of your feedback after that.
I didn't know that was student view. That's kind of cool. Maybe for those who aren't in and some of our DLs and admin, maybe is it okay if I share my screen and just poke around?
Yes, that would
Just
be great.
while we if you're poking around on your own screen, please do your thing, but
And for the person who asked about the combined grades, it's, yeah, the idea is you might have one list, but you assign them different grades so you can see it there, or you just might have two separate classes, because then you'll be assigning it. But if you're a 4-5, when you go into the grade 5 link and you say assign the class, if they're all in the same class, the 4s would be assigned it as well. So I think with a combined class, you might want to make two classes. Um, and there is a way later on to make groups within those classes. So you might have a couple 4s that are doing grade 5 stuff. So there's ways to adapt it. Okay, so the student view, I'll talk it out on the very top banner, the blue banner, when you get into Matific. So you've been into Mathology, you've gone into a lesson, you've clicked the practice page, and you've clicked the orange button that says Matific. Once you are in there, you have a blue banner. So just make sure your screen says Matific on the left-hand side. You get a blue banner on the top. Go to the far right, you'll see 2 A's, you see a bell, you see a question mark, you see like a cue card, and then beside that, I think it's supposed to be a fold-out map with a drop-down. That is the student view. If you hover over those things at the top right, it will tell you what it actually is. And when you click the student view, you'll go in and you'll be seeing things that Jessie is showing on the screen now. So for very specific questions at this point, if you want to create different groups, in the help button, in the question mark, you would say, how do I create different groups in a class? And it will give you a PDF of actually how you do that. When we come back for another live session, we'll talk about that. I'll also be putting in a link at the end where Matific has monthly, a couple times a month, times when you can come into a live webinar and find out more information as well. So we're going to give you that information too. Student view. I think people are liking that. You're seeing what the student is seeing. You can play around with things.
Yeah, I like this student view. I can see it like I can see like teaching from it, like put it up because
Yes.
it's then not going to affect your student's data because it's not connected to a student. So you don't have to log in as a student. You could put student view up on the screen and you could teach the lesson,
Yes.
or you could teach the kids how to play the game from student view and not have to yeah, like dig into a kid's data and kind of ruin their data, right? I think I like that a
Yes.
lot.
Yes. And sometimes, you want to kind of see how it's going to look. And the same when you are, okay, I'll do that in a minute. So let's just have one more minute for you to play around with that, and then we're going to come back together. So let's come back together. And so far, we have looked at the activities. So you can go to student view, or anytime you want to play an activity, you're not sure if you want to assign it, you can take a look and you can just play right here and you can play with it and know what it is, or you can teach right from here as well for that. So I'm just going to show you a couple of things that we see that I know it's small, but on a couple of them, they have this little green folder that is on the top right. So that is a clue to say that, oh, this one activity, if I want, it actually, I can, it's more like a fluency. In other words, it usually would come later in a unit or after the students have more practice because it's not a game like. When it says conceptual understanding, that is usually a game that they're using the visual images to help them figure out how to actually do it. So it's kind of like new learning and supporting learning, and then the fluency is that real direct practice. When I open it up, I'm just taking a look, there are some that have this little print button, and we see it's only on those that have the worksheets. That means instead of the digital application, if you want them to just do the worksheet in print, you can do it that way as well. So there are some things that are printable here as a worksheet, and it really is always that fluency type thing. So what I'm going to do is I am going to kind of start at the top, and I'm going to use these toggles to show you everything that's there. And so when we come back or a second time, or when you join another webinar, or when you use the help function a lot, you will find out more about this. But at least you have an idea of what's everything kind of in here and what is it that I want to go back and use. So the first thing we're going to do is manage my classes. So if you have not yet had the breadcrumbs of adding students, the first thing you're going to do is you start on the far right, manage my class, and when I click add a class, sometimes it's easier just to type it in. Let's say I'm a grade 4. Whether or not all my kids are working at that level, I'm just going to assign that for all my students to begin, and I create it. So now, like my breadcrumbs, I'm going to add some students. I'm going to do just a few steps, and then I'm going to stop for a minute to see if you've done any. Just going to add two students, usually first name, last initial. So once I've done that, I get a screen here. So this is now, how do my students get in? Once I've made a list, I can click the 3 dots here, and it gives my student a login card. And so basically this login card, they go to Matific.ca, simple place to go to. Oh, Matific.com, it's down here in the bottom right. Their username is this and their password is this. You can change this. It doesn't have to be the standard opportunity for doing this. So again, anything that is here, if you want to change anything, it's at the help. How do I change username? How do I change password? Using that button up there is going to be the easiest thing, as opposed to me trying to talk about 50 different steps. So I'm going to show this cycle one more so that you can actually get a couple of students in there. I started on the top right. I'm managing my classes. I add a class. Far right gives me that opportunity. Once I'm there, it will add my students. Once I have my students, either I'm printing individually, or here it says print login cards. It will list all my names, and when I print it to a PDF, it will give me all my students that I just cut and paste, and there they have their username and their password. Again, those are modifiable by you. The student might be able to go in and change it as well when they go in. So if you can just make sure that you've got a couple of students that you know how to print their login cards so the student has access to go in and get it, you are the ones that add students in or take students out. That's always up to you.
And if you click on those 3 little dots on the right, can you then change that one student's grade, for example, like for a combined grade class? You can move them to a group, edit student details.
Yes. So when you edit student details, you can change their language. And at the top, it says learning level.
Cool. Okay.
So if you only see, it'll show on another column what they are in Adventure Island.
Mm.
But you can change it as well, but then I'm not quite sure if you assign them in the class if they get it. You have
Yeah,
to
it might
play with
still go
this a
to
little bit.
everybody,
Yeah.
regardless of their learning level, but
Yeah. So if you
yeah.
want to make groups, you go to the manage groups. Like if you know that there's 3 kids that are never going to be assigned grade 4 math, when you assign it to the whole class, they always get something different. Then you're going to create a group just with those students and do those specifically. But
Also, creating
again,
groups may be a better way to do that. That's cool.
yes.
Yeah.
But again, I'm showing you a lot of stuff. It took me a few weeks of being in here every day to figure these out. And my best friend was the question mark. How do I make groups? And then I just played with it. One of the benefits of this, students can log in from home and they can do assigned work. They can do Adventure Island. You can assign it as homework. And so there's a pre-populated parent letter here that you can send to the parents, and it's downloadable and it's great because it tells them their student login, tells them what's there. The parents can actually log in and see how the students are doing. It gives a very minimal version of what you as a teacher has. So that's always your choice. So we've looked at class management. So what I'm going to do is hopefully you've typed a couple students in, you know how to print the login cards from the top. So tomorrow, your students can go in and play. That's the easiest thing to do. So you don't have to do any assigning. They just go in and they start using Adventure Island or Training Zone. But we're going to start now on the left-hand side. When they do the activities, whether it's the assigned work, Adventure Island, Training Zone, it will all be compiled on a dashboard for you. When students are not doing so well, their name will appear here on the bottom. And so you're going to be able to track and figure out how to help some of these students. That's what I like about this page. When I look at the next toggle, it's called Live Classroom. It means that if a variety of my students are on Matific, I don't have to hover over their shoulder to see how they're doing. I can just swing by my table, take a quick look at this, and see that, well, Kim M is not in activity, Jen is not in an activity, but if they are not doing so well, it's going to be red. If they're doing great, it's going to be green. So I'll just look which 2, 3 kids are red, and then I might go to them. When I look at activities, yes, I can assign activities, but I can also find different activities. And so there's a variety of ways. If I want to add things that may not be that are linked to the Mathology, or maybe I've got another lesson I'm doing, I can look in here and there's 3 ways to look at these topics. We've made sure that these are linked by Mathology unit titles. That's what these are here for grade 4, and they're linked to the Alberta curriculum. But maybe I just want to look by curriculum. So I'm going to go down here and I can click just grade 4. I see my curriculum here. Maybe we've been doing number for a while, but I just want to put in something with some using pattern and sequences. And so I can come here and just assign these as well. So going here and looking at topic means this is the way Matific has organized it for grade 4. Most of them are the same activities, just organized in a different way. The resource means Mathology. These are the titles of the units in Mathology, or the curriculum, which is the Alberta curriculum that is here. When we come to the next one, it's all about the reports that you can see. So the first place I'm going to bring you to is the placement test. So I'm using this as an example. It's grade 4. So they start maybe with the first activity in grade 4, but as they play it, and let's say they finish their diagnostic of 10, 12 questions, maybe Jen ends at a grade 2 and Kim stays at a grade 4. And so I can see at a glance kind of what level they're working at on Adventure Island. And I can also see if any assigned work was completed by students. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just kind of click through some of these. What do I see in terms of final reports? It will give me things in color once they've mastered certain topics. So you can start to see over time where the students are heading, which students haven't mastered certain things because they're going to show up yellow. Might help you with grouping. But there's a lot of things in the reports that will make sense once you start doing it. The idea today is really for you to get a sense of when it's with Mathology, how to launch it from that practice page, how to see that it's associated with the unit. This is about the unit of fluency with addition and subtraction. The lesson was adding and subtracting larger numbers, but maybe I want to go back to some modeling of smaller numbers here and have them work through some of that type of work as we're working through it, and how to actually have your students in and go to the actual Matific to see it. So today we've looked at that most lessons in Mathology will have that practice. If it doesn't, you can still go into Matific and assign things because of the way I showed you different ways of finding it. It is specifically curated by us here at Pearson and people that really know the Mathology activities. Again, if you see something that isn't working in your Mathology or your Matific account, just email help@mathology.ca. Don't go through the Matific contact me, because that will take a few days. With us, we have a team that is dedicated to this right now for our customers, and so it's a smaller base and less people come through. That students are using a variety of things here in Matific. They might be using the assigned work, or tomorrow they might just be going in and say, use the training zone. They might be using Adventure Island. Again, if you don't want them to go into the arena and fool around with that, you can just go to the help button. How do I turn off the arena? We've seen that you can go to this little icon with the drop button to see a student view, see what's happening. We've taken a look at how you can get the login cards for the students by using the class management button. And we've seen that just by typing in names, generating a password, and printing out a login card allows them to go in. They are just going to Matific.ca. .com. It says right there on the bottom of the card, Matific.com. So sometimes that needs to be circled so they know where they're going. And then once students have done work, it actually adds up their success rate. Most of the activities are out of 5. So it will give you generally a percentage out of 5. Sometimes they're a little bit different numbers. And so it will give you those percentages and add them up at the end for you as well. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just show you where, because I can't pop it into the chat. But if I go to Matific.com, I think it has the list of where to go. I think it's at the bottom. Jesse, I'm going to have to email it to you because there's a link to sign up for webinars.
Mm,
And so they
okay.
have a few every month, but I'm not seeing them here on here.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to email that to you. So they do have, yeah, it's not here right now. They do have a couple times a month where you can just click in and sign, and they have after school webinars. They can answer your questions. The other thing is I'm going to show you in Mathology. We don't have necessarily live open webinars right now because not enough of our customers, more of our customers don't have it than do have it. And then it creates a little bit of problem when they don't have it. But on the bulletin board from your homepage in Mathology, it shows office hours. So if you get a couple of your colleagues together, it's generally me, about 15 minutes, and you can just click in any of these times. These are Eastern Standard Times. So some of them go, past 4 o'clock here. Get a couple of your colleagues together. We can spend 15 minutes together and I can show you what you need to know. So that is, if you want something more personable, if you have any type of question about it, whether it's about the pedagogy or finding something, or you tried to use the help button, it didn't work, help@Mathology.ca, and we will get you your answer.
It looks too like the APLC, the Alberta Professional Learning Consortium, has some Matific PG sessions as well. Like there's actually one today for French.
Yes. So I don't know if Renee does any in English. So Renee
Yeah.
Michaud also works with us at Pearson.
Yeah.
And so that's a good thing. I think she does most of them for the consortium. So they are typically just Matific, but she knows how it works with Mathology because she also does presentations for us. So if it's a Renee Michaud and you're French, that's great. We will be offering some more in the spring with the
Well,
consortium for those that have Matific, because then we can orient it a little bit better in the description so that people that just have it come in and we'll do some more learning. But in the meantime, I do really encourage you to use that help button for the PDF tutorials. I encourage you to just have some fun with your kids, play with some activities. Again, if you want that live help, go in and get some office hours with a couple of your colleagues, and we can just work through little things at a time. Doesn't have to be big. And then Jesse will share with you if you want to do some live webinars just on Matific. They have a couple every month from their side as well. So as we close up for the night, first of all, thank you so much for spending time at the end of the day. If you have just another minute, if you can pop into the chat something you saw that you liked, something you want to go back and investigate a little bit more, can be as simple as, I like that Matific is aligned with Alberta curriculum. Just anything at all that you saw that like, oh, that's good. That's good news. Or, oh, yeah, I have to figure out how to find that again. When that peaked in your mind, if you can pop that into the chat.
that's awesome. Student view is amazing. I agree, Bren. That's such a great feature. Kim, we have a question about data. Does the data roll over to next year?
I don't
Student data?
think so. I'll have to ask whether it follows the student, but I don't think so. I think it's grade by grade. But the next year you might be able to add the next year's teacher so they can go back and check the previous year. But I'll ask that to find out what happens at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I
it's a
know
good
that as a
question.
teacher, you retain it. Like it doesn't disappear on you. It stays with your email. So even if your email, you don't do it for a year or something, and then you come back, all your stuff is still there.
Okay, that's great. Looks amazing. Kids will be engaged while learning. That's good. I like you can use Matific to demo lessons. Mary, I love that too. I think that's a great feature. Training zone with student view, great to start with. I really love student view. That's the winner tonight, Kim, is the student view.
Well, it gives you a
Um,
perception of what's happening.
yes, you actually know what you're giving to the students, right? Christy, I've
Placement
created
test, yes.
2
Adventure
classes.
Island, go to it. Just tell the kids, go to Adventure Island. And
Yeah.
if it's a student you know that isn't quite working at grade level anyways, you might want to assign them a grade below just to begin with. It does modify within one activity. Basically, it'll drop it so they don't really struggle too long. Yeah, going to a student view without making a student pretend. Yes.
Yeah, that's the winning feature tonight, I think. Thanks.
The
That's
question is,
awesome.
will the grade 4 to 6 have it next year? So currently, this is really for you to preview and to really give your feedback onto what was helpful, why was it helpful, how did it help kids, back to your principal, back to Jesse. Obviously no decisions have been made for next year, but that's what Jesse is hoping from this, that that they're able to collect this feedback. And Jesse, anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And we bought Mathology.ca on a 3-year license. So next year we still have that platform going forward. Matific didn't exist in this capacity when the Mathology.ca was purchased. It was a different platform. This is new to you guys too, is having this Matific embedded right into Mathology. So of course, with the new curriculum being rolled out, it takes time for vendors to build their product and have it ready to go out lives to school districts. So this is now ready to go. It's fully integrated into Mathology. We piloted it with some teachers, great feedback. And so now as a district, we're piloting this until June for grade 4 to 6 district wide. So we do appreciate your feedback. We want to know what you think of it, and that's the decision of higher up than me about how we proceed with this because in the world of new curriculum, math is no longer new for us in elementary. So I don't know. That's above me to make those decisions. It could still be school based. It might be district wide. I'm not sure. Mathology.ca for sure next year, and the decisions are being worked on about Matific. But we do want your feedback. We heard you about the other platform, and we're feeling really positive about this. So yeah, just know that we want to find the most useful
Hmm.
and relevant programs that we can to support our students and help our
Hmm.
students really enjoy math. And I feel really good about this one. So for sure this year, get as much use as you can out of it
Yeah,
while we
we've got
have
a
it.
lot of Alberta boards, like the 4 French districts. They all have Matific enabled.
Mm,
We've got Northern Lights coming into Matific, a few others that some of them already have it. And if they already have it, we're working with Matific to get them the integrated one. It just makes sense.
yeah,
But with anything, the more people that like something and the more people that find benefit for students, then it's more likely that that is purchased over something else. There's
yeah.
always a budget. It's just a matter of what the budget goes to. So
Hmm.
we're really counting on all of you for feedback. And if you would like another session, in a month, 6 weeks to really look at some of the dashboards and see, well, they did this and this. How am I going to make some small groups? Things like that. We can meet again. I encourage you to use the live thing if you have a few people to get together. And also, Jesse will be posting where you can go for some live webinars on Just Matific and check the consortium if you're French. I know that they're there, and you can check and see if whether Renee is doing them in English. And if not, in the
Mhm.
spring, we will be doing them in English.
Totally. Yeah. Now that Matific's on our radar, I'll watch for those ones and I'll make sure I post them out. Because I just skip over resources we don't have. But
Yeah.
now that this one is one of ours, then that'll be on the radar for sure. So yeah, that's
Perfect.
awesome.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for spending time at the